Hey guys, what's up and welcome back to the channel. For those of you who are new here, hi, I'm Megan. You can call me Meg if you want to. And today's video is going to be my August and September reading wrap up. Please excuse my voice. I feel like I'm fighting a bit of a cold or like seasonal allergies, but we're gonna push through. Long time no chat, guys. I know I've been away, but I started my new job and that's kind of taken over my life, but now we're getting back into the routine of filming videos. I just filmed a vlog for you guys, so if that's not already up, watch for that. It should be up soon. See, look at me, I can't even talk anymore. It's been so long. And I am filming a bookshelf tour very soon, so also see what I mean? I can't talk. Also, be on the lookout for that as well. So for the months of August and September, I finished two different series, which have been ongoing reads for me this entire year. The first series that I finished is the Briar U series by Elle Kennedy. That is the first spin-off series to her off-campus series that I absolutely fell in love with. Also, guys, we're getting an off-campus TV show. It was picked up by Amazon Prime. I'm so excited. Comment down below how excited you are for this, and comment if you have any fan casts. From what I've seen so far online, I am loving the fan casts. Like, the most popular one obviously is Garrett and Hannah, and the number one pick for the guy I'm like all for. And for Hannah, I'm not really sure. People have said Steph Bower, and you know how much I love Steph, but she doesn't have a lot of acting experience. But it'd be cool to have an influencer and someone who is in the bookish space get such a huge role in a book adaptation. But I mean, who knows what's gonna happen, but that would be so cool. I saw a fan cast of Olivia Holt as Allie and like love that. Anyway, I'm going off on a tangent. The first series I finished was Briar U, and then the second series I finished was, I don't know if there's like a series name for this, but it was the second book to the not Six of Crows, oh my god, Megan. The second book to the Shadow and Bone spinoff series that stars Nikolai. The second book is Rule of Wolves. Again, I don't know if there is a like name for the spinoff series. I'm just the King of Scars duology, whatever you want to call it. If there's a name, I will pop it up top, but I don't think there is. So I finished that. I'm caught up with all of the books in the Grishaverse now, so that is exciting, but let's go talk about them now. Before we get into the individual books for the Briar U series, these are books 2, 3, 4, obviously 2, 3, 4. I think I read book 1 in July. But speaking generally, I definitely don't love these books as much as I loved the off-campus series, and I think a big part of that is because the characters, they don't live together, so that whole environment of being roommates and living in the same apartment was gone, and I kind of missed that dynamic with the characters. And I get like, so book 2, the male love interest, he doesn't even play for Briar, he plays for the opposing team. So yes, it makes a great romance plot. Why did I say it like that? It makes a great romance plot, obviously the enemies to lover thing, but I'm missing the connection between the friends, the hockey players, you know, because I love that so much in Off Campus. And like, if the off-campus series was a 5-star series for me, I am gonna say that Briar U is gonna be like a 3.75 star series, which it sounds kind of harsh, but the last 2 books in Briar U, which again we'll talk about individually, I just didn't love them as much. There seemed like a disconnect to me. So like I said before, The Risk is a hate to love / enemies to lovers book, as well as fake dating, and that is between Brenna Jensen, who is the daughter of Coach Jensen, who obviously is the coach of the Briar U hockey team, and her male love interest is Jake Connolly, who is the team captain at Harvard, who obviously is the rival to Briar U. So when we meet Jake in this book, he is a senior as well as being team captain, and he actually has already been drafted to play in the pros once he graduates. Now, Jenna is a junior, I believe, and she is trying to get an internship with HockeyNet to establish herself in the world of sports journalism. However, the guy who is in charge of hiring at HockeyNet is very, very misogynistic and doesn't believe women really have any place in sports broadcasting. So Brenna, having met Jake before, name drops him because he is the #1 draft pick, I believe, for the pros, and says that Jake is her boyfriend. So she name drops him to get herself a place at HockeyNet as a intern, and that's how this whole fake dating, enemies to lovers romance begins. I believe I did give this a 5-star rating because I did love it. They have a great relationship dynamic. However, as much as the fake dating plot is emphasized in the blurb on the back of the book, I found it was just like a blip in the overall plot of the story. I thought going into it, it was going to play a bigger part in their story, in their love story, than it ended up being. What I loved most about Jake and Brenna's dynamic is that they matched each other's energy, I guess, to put it in bookish terms and not TikTok terms that popped into my head. But we know Brenna, she is a very feisty woman who can give it out as well as take it, and that's exactly what Jake does. They have a great banter about them, and when they go back and forth with hockey, you can tell they both have a mutual respect for each other, despite the fact that their teams are rivals. What I wasn't expecting is the depth and backstory between Brenna's relationship with her father, because we don't know much about it before the risk. She didn't really mention it at all to Summer when we meet her in the chase. So knowing that was really interesting, and seeing how she kind of rebuilds it now that she is going to the school that her father is a coach at. The next book in the Bardugo series is The Play, and this is a friends to lovers romance between our male love interest Hunter, who is now team captain at Briar, and Demi, who he has a class with, and that is how they meet. They start working on a project together, but quickly turn into fast friends. So when we enter into this story, Hunter has now been deemed captain after the last one has graduated, whoever the last captain was, it doesn't matter, but he has been promoted to captain, and he really wants to prove himself to the team after last season's big final mess up that Hunter feels is his fault, that they did not win. So he has put himself on a celibacy route until the season is over. And when he meets Demi, this really isn't a problem because they are friends and they are working on a class project together, but she is in a relationship with someone who she has known basically her entire life. So they are platonic friends. However, when Demi's long-term boyfriend, she finds out, cheats on her, Demi is looking for a rebound and can look no further than Hunter for that. I ended up giving this 4 stars, which is still a good rating, but I definitely didn't love this book as much as I love some of Elle Kennedy's other books. I'm not sure what didn't hit for me with this one, but I didn't love the couple in this as much as I thought I would, and as much as I had loved other couples in her books, which that was a little strange for me because I do love friends to lovers books so much. That is my favorite romance trope, but something about Hunter and Demi's relationship just didn't hit those notes for me that usually hit when it comes to friends to lovers. The banter was still great, and it really proves how good of friends they are together, how they can tease each other. but I don't know, it didn't hit, and I'm trying to put a pin onto why it didn't, but I'm not sure what it was. One thing I know that did bother me is the nickname Hunter gives Demi. He calls her Semi sometimes, and I'm just like, it's more cringy than it is cute to me. Like you know, like he's semi hard, you know. And just why if I had a boyfriend who called me that, I'd be like, absolutely not. I don't think it was cute. I think it was cringy and just ugh. I don't care if it rhymes. And maybe part of the reason why I didn't love this romance so much is because it seemed like Demi was just looking for a rebound. Obviously, the relationship is very much real, and her ex was a douche anyway. But usually rebounds don't stick, and part of the reason, I don't know, it seemed like partially to me that she was just into him for his body and for that hookup because their physical attraction to each other was so palatable. The emotional connection, the friendship was definitely there. I think romantically, something was missing for me. Again, I wish I knew what it was, and perhaps I was just lacking some emotional depth in their romantic relationship instead of their platonic relationship. I also felt like I was missing some emotional depth with Demi's relationship with her parents. There's one incident that happens right after Demi and her ex-boyfriend break up, and because they had been together and known each other for so many years, their families had become really close, and to me it seems like her parents weren't really understanding of how much the cheating hurt Demi, because they were still spending the holidays with the ex-boyfriend's family, and it didn't seem like the parents were really cared about how Demi felt, and how much it hurt her to even be in the ex's presence, because the parents still just wanted to keep up appearances and nothing was wrong. So that really bothered me, and I don't think it was ever entirely resolved between Demi and her parents. Like, her mother talked to her privately after Demi learns that they're still spending the holidays with the ex's family, but the father never really apologizes for putting appearances over her emotional well-being. They do kind of make up at the end, at like the climax of the book, but I still think more could have been done, because like, I know maybe different family dynamics, but I know my family would have been like, bye to that entire family had my ex done something like that to me. All of the minor issues that I had with the plot aside, I do think that this is one of Elle Kennedy's funnier books, simply because of a subplot that happens with the entire Briar hockey team, where Hunter has to ask Coach Jensen for a like pet mascot. They want like a real animal mascot, not just a person in a suit. So Coach Jensen challenges them to take care of a hard-boiled egg, and chaos ensues with the entire team. But that was hilarious, and I think this might be the first Elle Kennedy couple where I really don't see them being endgame in the long run, despite how it might be written in the overall universe, because I know in the next spin-off series it's all about the kids, but I don't see Hunter and Demi being endgame. I think they would have a great relationship throughout college and stay together until then, but then as they turn into adults and get into adulthood, I'm not sure if they would stay together. Honestly, I think they're better off as friends. And the final book in the Briar U series is The Dare. This is a fake dating romance between Taylor and Connor. Taylor is a sorority girl who doesn't feel like she really fits in with her sorority sisters, aside from her best friend who's also in that sorority, and Connor, who is the womanizer of the Briarview hockey team. These two actually meet at a sorority party where Taylor is dared to kiss Connor, so hence the dare, the title. So after actually talking about what just happened, Taylor and Connor agree to continue this ruse that they hooked up at the sorority party and now are actually dating, because as they had some time alone together where people thought that they were hooking up, Taylor actually explained to Connor why she was dared to do this and why this one sorority sister does not like Taylor. So Connor proposes that they start fake dating to make this girl jealous, as well as keep the other sorority girls away from Connor, as he has grown tired of the endless amounts of girls throwing themselves at him only for the fact that he is a hockey player. I hate to say this, I really do, because I think we all know how much I love Elle Kennedy's books at this point. She's definitely my favorite new author that I've been introduced to this year, but unfortunately The Dare is definitely my least favorite of the books I've read from her so far. I only gave this 3 stars, which it breaks my heart to say, because I was anticipating liking it so much more, so I was kind of disappointed at the outcome. But throughout the novel, Taylor is really battling her body image issues, and she can't believe that someone like Connor, who is like the most popular boy in school, the star of the hockey team, finds her attractive because she's curvy instead of stick thin. And I'm not sure that her body image issues were ever really resolved in this book. It all felt very shallow to me, and it didn't really have the emotional punch that I think Elle Kennedy was aiming for with this, because it kind of was just Connor constantly telling her that she's hot and he finds her attractive, to make her believe it, and didn't really tackle the reason why she's feeling this way, or addresses the fact that she's constantly putting herself on a diet and wanting to lose like 15 pounds. So I definitely think it could have been addressed on a more in-depth way, because I think for so many girls and women in this world, just hearing someone who you care about tell you that you're attractive, you're pretty, you're beautiful, you're hot, whatever, is not enough. It really has to come from yourself, and doing that self-work, whether it's body positivity, body neutrality, whatever it may be for the person. And and Taylor, I feel like Taylor hasn't really gone through that process yet. And again, it needs to come from her, it can't come from Connor, and I feel like that was the solution to this problem that Elle Kennedy presents. I also felt that the antagonist of this story, the mean girl that dares Taylor to kiss Connor in the first place, who is Taylor's sorority sister and they had been close, I felt like her character arc and her villain backstory was also very shallow, and it felt like it came out of a Disney movie, like a Disney Channel movie or something of the same nature. She felt like almost a caricature of what a mean girl is, or what like the most popular girl in school is, especially looking back at like the mean girls in Disney Channel movies, Disney Channel shows, or even like teen movies like The Duff or something like that. She felt very much like the mean girl out of one of those, and not a fully well-rounded character in a new adult novel. And honestly, I've just come to expect more out of the characters that Elle Kennedy writes, whether it is a main character or a love interest or even a best friend or an antagonist. Usually there's more depth than what we just get. And to top it all off, There were many moments of miscommunication between Taylor and Connor that really just annoyed me because they just don't tell each other things because they think the other person couldn't handle it or whatever, where I'm like, you should let that person, the other person, decide if they can handle it or not. And it just, ugh, I really hate miscommunication in romance books. I thought you're adults or you're semi-adults, you should be able to talk about your problems to the person who you're supposed to trust the most. And that's a big contributing factor to why this was only 3 stars as opposed to 4 or 5 stars that I've given other Elle Kennedy books. And again, I'm sorry to say this, repeating what I said with the the play with Hunter and Demi, but I definitely do not think that Connor and Taylor are endgame in the long run. However, what I did like with the Dare is that the vibe that we got from the original off-campus series with everyone living together and being roommates, we got more of that in the Dare with Connor's roommates here, and how Taylor was super accepted by all of his teammates and roommates pretty quickly, and how quickly they were about to come to her defense, which I loved. Like when they were like, just tell us the time, when and where, and we'll be ready to defend Taylor. That was awesome. I ate up every single second of it. And the moments where Taylor was with her sorority sisters and Connor comes over to just prove a point that they were together when they were like really deep into their fake dating thing. Oh, that was peak fake dating. It was so funny and so fun to read. The next book that I read was Rule of Wolves by Leigh Bardugo. This is the second book in the King of Scars duology. This picks up right where King of Scars left off. Ravka is unfortunately again on the cusp of war with its surrounding neighbors of Phaedra and the Shuhan, and Nikolai, Zoya, and Nina have to do everything in their power to stop that from happening, because if war ensues, then that is probably the end of Ravka as they know it. I definitely loved Rule of Wolves way more than I loved King of Scars. This definitely is faster paced, which I really needed from the first half of King of Scars. However, some of the problems I had with King of Scars do carry over to Rule of Wolves. Again, we see an introduction of new points of view halfway through the book, which I just think is unnecessary because we don't know those characters as well. Again, the switch to the new points of view really brought me out of the story when I was so immersed in it before introducing these new points of views. I also wasn't fully satisfied with the way that Nina's arc ended in this. The solution to the problem that Nina was facing in Phaedra, it almost seemed too easy of a solution that we got, based on everything that she has gone through up to that point. Tonally, it just felt different than what we've seen from her in the past, and I think it's like step 1 in fixing the problems that Phaedra has with their ruling class. But I feel as though it was presented as an overall fix instead of step 1 of a solution. And last but not least, we have The Language of Thorns, also by Leigh Bardugo, and this is a collection of fairy tales that take place within the Grishaverse. I really loved seeing how Leigh Bardugo kind of took fairy tales and fables that we already knew and put her own kind of twist on it to be within the realm of the Grishaverse and that whole magic system. I definitely saw similarities between the 3, I think, fairy tales in here, and ones that I already knew. There was like one that I really got Nutcracker vibes from, another one was like a twist on Little Mermaid, and then I think the other one was like Beauty and the Beast, and that was really cool, especially as someone who took a fairy tale class in college and has really studied the progression of fairy tales, how they started with Grimm up until how Disney has really Disney-fied them. I thought that was really cool. It definitely leaned more towards the grim side of fairy tales and how gruesome they could be, and how there's always a twist and not ending how you would expect them to be, like with Disney. So I thought that was super cool. You definitely don't need to read Language of Thorns to understand more about like Six of Crows or Shadow and Bone or King of Scars. But it definitely contributes to the world building in there. I definitely thought it was going to be a faster paced read than what it was, but once I understood the like format of the fairy tales, I enjoyed it immensely, and I ended up giving this 3 out of 5 stars. But that is it for this video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Comment down below what your most recent read is, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!